Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. Dear webinar audience, we meet again in this webinar sessions entitled The Mental Health of Students in Higher Learning Institutions During the COVID-19 Pandemic, organized by the External and Internal Networking Unit, Department of Research and Innovation Planning, IPD Campus Tuanku Bainun. Thank you to the webinar audience, especially to the esteemed educators and dedicated students in the respective institutions who are willing to participate with us today. For your information, our webinar today is broadcast to you live from outside of the campus studio, as we are now in the extended phase of the National Recovery Plan, the 3.0 Movement Control Order. However, we will try to present the best viewing for all of you. Dear spectators, to bless our webinar program this evening, let us take a moment to say a prayer recitation that will be led by Al-Fadhil Ustaz Dr. Sukari bin Muhammad. You are welcome, Ustaz.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. A'udzubillahi as-sami'il 'alim minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Ya rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karim وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولوالدينا وارحمهم كما ربونا صغارا ولجميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Allahumma ya Allah, kurniakanlah kepada kami tubuh badan yang sihat, minda yang cerdas, akal yang waras, idea yang bernas, pandangan yang jelas, hati yang tulus, ilmu yang luas, amalan yang ikhlas, rezeki yang halal lagi barakah, hidup yang sejahtera dan selamat di dunia, lebih-lebih lagi di akhirat. Allahumma ya Allah, kami memohon kepadamu, moga engkau memperkukuhkan persaudaraan antara kami, engkau mempersatukan pendapat-pendapat kami, engkau memperbaiki urusan agama dan hidup kami, engkau mempermudahkan pekerjaan kami, engkau mengurniakan kepada kami dengan kekuatan iman, ketinggian takwa, keikhlasan hati, dan kesungguhan dalam beramal. Allahumma ya Allah, sempurna webinar ilmiah berkaitan kesihatan mental dalam kalangan siswa-siswi institusi pengajian tinggi semasa pandemik ini. Kami menadah tangan memohon agar engkau jauhkan kami, keluarga kami, saudara mara kami, dan negara kami dari wabak coronavirus, serta engkau limpahkan kepada kami dengan nikmat yang berpanjangan, barakah dalam kehidupan, dan kebaikan yang berpusat. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqna min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina 'adzaban nar. Subhana rabbika rabbil 'izzati 'amma yasifun wa salamun 'alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Amin, Amin, Amin. Thank you to our Fadil Ustads for leading the prayer recitation just now. May our webinar program this evening run smoothly. Distinguished audience, before we start the webinar, let us first listen to the opening remarks by the Director of IPD Campus Tuanku Bainun, Encik Muhammad Saad bin Abbas. Please, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang menghadiri webinar kita pada petang ini. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to congratulate the Department of Research and Innovation, Tuanku Bainun Campus, for organizing today's webinar. I think the topic is very important, the topic is very relevant. Definitely there are issues that need to be addressed with this topic. And I would like to really thank you for the PPI because of your ability to organize today's webinar, and I hope it will benefit all of us, especially our students, wherever you are right now. As we all know that now we are facing a very unprecedented pandemic, which has never happened before. So everything is new to us. So definitely there are a lot of issues and challenges that come in with this pandemic. Okay, so congratulations to PPI, Tuanku Bainun, for organizing this webinar. And second thing is that I would like to express my deepest appreciation to the panel that we are specially invited to this webinar. The first one is Dr. Muhammad Nazari Abdul Rahman, an old friend of Campus Tuanku Bainun. And also Prof. Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman from UIA. Dr. Nazri now is with University Malaya. So I really hope that presence today, both of you, the panelists, will be able to shed some light. And thank you very much for your time, for sharing your insights and expert opinions with all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about mental health. Actually, it is something to do with the well-being of our mind, the well-being of our mental, and it is actually the condition of our emotional, our psychological, and also our social well-being. So, a good mental health actually is very, very important. We need them. It helps in our thinking, it helps in our feeling, and also definitely helping in our communication. So we cannot have problem in these areas of thinking, of feelings and communication, because if we do, we are going to cross, many lines and many boundaries. For example, legal boundaries, professional boundaries, moral boundaries, and so on and so forth. So especially for our students, I hope that we can find, by the help of our panel today, Dr. Nazri and Prof. Shukran, you can see that actually there are ways and means on how we can find the productive equilibrium in going about our daily activities. So this is very important, especially in this pandemic. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, I hope this webinar can be very beneficial, can be very helpful to all of us. So once again, thank you very much to PPI, Tengku Bainun. Thank you very much to our panel. So let us together take care of our health, especially mental health. Take care of our health. Jaga kesihatan kita, because this is the only place that we have to live. We cannot live in other people's body, so we have to really take care of our own body, take care of our own health. So hopefully, by the end of this webinar, we can get some insight, we can get some very beneficial knowledge about how we can really control, how we can really manage all the issues that are surrounding us during this pandemic. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. So I really hope that this webinar will fulfill whatever we need to know in terms of mental health during this pandemic. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to Mr. Director of IPD Campus Tuanku Bainun for your speech just now. With the end of the speech from the directors earlier, let us move to the main agenda of our webinar section today. Now, I am very pleased to invite the moderator of the event, Mr. Eng Len Teck, to proceed with the event. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Annie. Thank you, Dr. Annie, for the introduction. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. All right, now fear, worry, and stress are some of the responses to perceived or real threats. And at times, when we are faced with uncertainty or the unknown, it is understandable that people are experiencing fear in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Added to the fear of contracting the virus in a pandemic such as COVID-19 are the significant changes in our daily lives as our movements are restricted in support of efforts to contain and slow down the spread of the virus. Now, faced with the new realities of working from home, temporary unemployment, homeschooling of children, and lack of physical contact with other family members, friends, and colleagues, it is important that we look after our mental as well as our physical health. In today's webinar, we investigate issues faced by students of higher learning institutions during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we hope that our panel members will help to enlighten us on some of the questions that have been on our minds lately. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the webinar live on IPG Campus Tongku Bainun's Facebook and on Tongku Bainun's YouTube channel. So, as you can see, this is a very serious matter. Now, before we move on to our actual speaker, just a little housekeeping before we got started. Yeah, if you have just tuned in, there is a QR code on the top right corner of the screen. Scan that for attendance to the webinar. Alternatively, a link will be given later during the webinar. All right. Now, secondly, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Facebook live chat comments section. I'll bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for Q&A at the end of the session. All right? You're now live on Facebook, and to those of you who just joined, a very warm welcome to you. I'm Eng Lentik, your host. Before I call on our distinguished guests, let me introduce them in the order that they'll be presenting. Okay, our first panel member is Shukran Abdul Rahman, who is a professor at the Department of Psychology, International Islamic University, Malaya, or you can call it IUM. Yeah? He holds a Doctor of Occupational Psychology degree from Murdoch University, Australia. He lectures in personal psychology, psychometrics, organizational change and development, career development, and issues in personnel and organizational psychology. His research areas include career development, organization development, organizational behavior, academic culture, changes and development in higher education, employability and graduateness of students in higher learning institutions. Prof. Shukran has held many important posts since then, and currently he is the Dean of the Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. Welcome to our webinar, Prof. Shukran. Okay. Our second panel member is Dr. Muhammad Nazri bin Abdul Rahman. Dr. Nazri holds the title as a senior lecturer at the Department of Educational Psychology and Counseling, Faculty of Education, University of Malaya. He holds a PhD in Curriculum Design and Development from the University of Malaya. He actively researches and publishes in the areas of early childhood education, homeschooling, indigenous people, and teaching and learning innovation. He is especially known for his homeschooling model for Orang Asli children, which has reframed current ways of teaching Orang Asli children by tapping into the advantages of alternative education in Malaysia. His works have been published in Malaysian and international journals. He also published books on Pendidikan Alternative Homeschooling, Design and Developmental Research and Curriculum, satu disiplin yang dinamik. He has received several recognitions for his teaching and research, including awards such as Faculty of Education Excellent Postgraduate Students 2014, Excellent Thesis 2014, Anugerah Cemerlang University Malaya, and many, many more. Okay, you'd be surprised. A warm welcome to both our panel members. Our topic for today's webinar is mental health of students in higher learning institution during COVID-19 pandemic. For that, we'll start with our first panel member, Prof. Shukran. So, Prof. Shukran, what do you have for our viewers today?
Yes,
Take it up.
yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Ng. Okay, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. Yang berbahagia Tuan Muhammad Saad bin Abbas, the Director for Institut Pendidikan Guru Kampus Tuanku Bainun. The other panel member, Dr. Nazri, ladies and gentlemen, the committee members of this webinar, student teachers, okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all of you. Dr. Ng, I will be assisted by a set of slides. Perhaps in about 20 minutes, I will be talking based on these slides, but I would prefer questions from audience so that I can address what the students want to know about mental health issues during this pandemic. The topic given is, or the topic set by myself is managing psychosocial issues among higher learning institution students during pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. But before we talk about this, perhaps I would like to say something before we proceed. I must congratulate the organizers, especially the IPG Campus Tuanku Bainon, for taking mental health issue a very serious matter in this context of pandemic. Yep, the pandemic has alerted or has brought us to many issues. Maybe people have addressed health issue and economic issues more than mental health issues. But in actual fact, our country, I think we are very lucky because our country has given adequate or sufficient attention to psychosocial issues, or we call it mental issues as well. Okay, when this pandemic COVID-19 started as early as January 2020, last year, right? So there were many measures being taken by various agencies. I mean, some of them are well coordinated, okay, across ministries, between ministries and government agencies, as well as between ministries and service providers, including schools and university. And I think my role today is to discuss or to enlighten my audience on how do we manage mental health issues, or a broader picture would be psychosocial issues when we started the movement control order in March last year, right? So coming from the background of occupational or organizational psychology, my focus is on the effort to manage mental health issues or psychosocial issues since the pandemic began. I will not talk much on clinical issue because I'm not from the clinical issues or clinical psychology. Okay, I am from organizational psychology. We look at the way to organize services, the way to coordinate professionals, okay, who are championing this mental health prevention, rehabilitation, so on and so forth. Can we move to the next slides? All right. So I have done my introduction, I think. Second, I'll be talking about health issue and how health issue is not related to only the coronavirus, but to emotional issues as well as psychological issues, right? I think everybody is aware that coronavirus started in December or earlier than that, 2019. And we have been alerted about this one virus which emerged in China. And we didn't actually expect that it will reach this place or other places in the world, right? Coronavirus has spread around. It has infected many of us in Malaysia as well. And then you have looked at the scary statistics, which is increasingly high day by day. right? So our life has been affected, okay, not only biologically, not only health-wise, but also the psychological, the social, and even spiritual aspects, right? So we have seen many reports, we have read many reports, and we have seen just now paper cuttings reporting issues faced by our community across various levels, okay, adult level, teenagers level, okay, young people, okay, all have been affected by this coronavirus. Okay, right. So what we could say that what we could say is that this coronavirus has impacted us at a macro level, so much so that it has been declared as a pandemic, not only as endemic whatsoever. All right. So students like you, okay, at an educational level, experience certain psychological issues, okay, and we want to know briefly today what are the psychosocial issues. And in my institution, we break these psychological issues into three, okay, psychological, social, as well as spiritual issues, right? And that three are interrelated. Okay, next. Okay, so what are the issues that we mentioned just now? Health issues, psychological, yes, physical, as well as social issues. And the health-related issues, we would like to look at the previous slide. Okay, can we move back to the slide? Okay, health-related issues, the need to safeguard individuals' health and treat health and safety as priority. Okay, this is our priority since we started the movement control order. When our government declared PKP on the 18th of March, okay, so our priority was to curb the spread of coronavirus, right? So we have immediately stopped classes. I believe, I mean, in Tuanku Bainon IPG also, you have stopped all your classes. Maybe you have stopped all the classes before the 18th of March as well, right? So this is because we didn't want people to contract coronavirus. Now, as a result of this, okay, everybody was locked down. Okay, students were locked down in their hostel, right? So workers or teachers or lecturers were locked down, okay, at home. I mean, other people are also locked down, were being locked down, I mean, at their, own places as well. So this has created many psychological issues. And because of these psychological issues, okay, we had done many things to help them in adjusting, in their adjustment, how to adjust, okay, working from home, how to adjust studying from home, how to adjust doing assignment away from group mates, how to adjust doing assignment without library. Okay, so these were scenario, these were activating event that push people to experience something that they have never experienced before. Right? Some of my students, they say that they cannot, accomplish the assignment because they didn't have the chance to discuss with their group mates. They don't have access to material. They cannot do consultation with their lecturers. Right? So they become what we call that serabut. They call serabut, tension. Right? So everything being mixed up with demands at home. Okay, they have expectation to meet as well. Yeah, expectation given by their family, by their parents, by their siblings, right? So sometimes they don't have access to facilities, although Wi-Fi are available, but they don't have good gadget to have access to the available Wi-Fi. These are the issues that lead them to have what they call stress, what they claim burnout, what they claim depression. Right? So some of them cannot tolerate, some of them cannot cope. Right? So what do we do with them? Okay. Right? Work-related issues. Okay, lecturers as well. Okay, have complained a lot about adjusting teaching processes. Okay, they used to be teaching face-to-face, but now they have to teach online. Okay, they didn't know what technology was all about. They didn't, I mean, they were not familiar with Zoom, with Google Meet, Google Classroom whatsoever. So there were mechanisms, there were measures also being taken up, okay, to help this workforce, these teachers, especially in school, or teachers or lecturers in university, to be retrained, you know, with new mode of teaching and learning processes, right? So I've talked about learning issues just now, right? So there are many constraints faced by students. I believe in Tuanku Bainon IPG, you have got your own set of stressors, limitation and demands as well, that might have actually pushed you to some level of stress that require attention and management, right? So the other general life issues, okay, so how do we empower? Okay, so we have listened to issues faced by students, faced by lecturers. Now, as manager, okay, being the leader in the university, okay, being a manager in Maktab or in IPG also, what have we done, okay, to mitigate or to reduce or to minimize these psychosocial issues that they face, right? So we are going to tell you what we did since the PKP began in order to minimize the adverse effect or the negative consequences of coronavirus related measures, right? So they are not being infected by coronavirus, but indirectly they have, right? And then they are suffering from psychosocial issues more than they suffer from health issues in that sense. Okay, we move to the next one. Next slide. Okay, slide selepas ini. Okay, alright, we did some intervention. Okay, what is intervention? Okay, we have programs. We have programs to cater to different issues faced by different people. Right? So we didn't wait until we listened to issues. In our university, we have set one team on the 18th of March, the first day when PKP was declared. 18th of March, PKP was declared. So I think 17th of March, we have set up what we call IUM COVID-19 Psychosocial Support Team. So we had gathered psychologists, counselors, medical doctors, ICT people, ICT lecturers, ustaz, right? So we have this committee, what we call the psychosocial spiritual support team, right? So we started with psychoeducation, right? So we psychoeducate. We conducted education program. We educated our students. We also educated our lecturers, our staff on what should they do, okay, in order to deal with a new way of teaching and learning. How should they do in dealing with new way of working, right? So should they have any problems, psychological problems, stress, depression, or they do not know what to do, confusion, they can write to us or they can call us, right? So we have a hotline number, we have posters, okay, we have website, okay, launch, okay, on the first day of this PKP, so that people know where they could resort to, where they could refer to whenever they have any psychosocial issues. So in other words, we were somehow prepared, okay, to deal with psychosocial issues faced by our community on campus. Eventually, our services were also provided to people outside our university in that sense. Okay, moving on. Next slide. All right, so let's look at some of the issues related to teaching and learning. Overwhelming workload, right? So students claim that they have now overwhelming workload. Maybe last time, okay, when they were on campus, they could focus on assignment, but now they have to give attention to sourcing resources online as well. More work for them, right? So last time they could go to the library, search material on the shelf, but now they have to use alternative sources of information, and this required them to allocate more time and maybe allocate more cost as well in order to have access to resources in order to accomplish their workload. Prolonged lockdown, yes, we heard of PKP1 and then PKP2, PKP3. So people who were extroverted, I mean, kind of social kind of people, okay, they couldn't stay longer, I mean, within their own place without meeting other people, right? So these are the other issue. Increasing number of COVID-19 cases. People were being scared with the statistics as well, right? And then they had also information overloaded, okay, from social media, right? So they read many information, some are fake, some are truth, and they were confused sometimes on which one to believe, which one to rely on, and which one to practice, right? So depleting motivation, yep, over time, the energy to cope with demands, energy to deal with stressors were decreasing, right? So because of this decreased motivation, because of this decreased energy, right? So they claim to have stress, depression, tension, burnout, you name it, okay? Right, so the other issue are costly data subscription. I mean, these were reported by many, right? So we know that our students come from various demography. Okay, not all of us, not all of our students can afford to buy good gadget. What more, sorry, to buy data, what more to buy good gadget, okay, in making sure that they have good learning and, workload management. All right. Unconducive learning environment at home or unconducive learning environment at alternative venue. So last time they studied in classroom, but now they have to study in their own hostel or room or even at house, right? So you have heard of many cases which cause inconveniences to students when they have to study from alternative venue. Right? And other life demands, like some have to work for their family in order to have their ends met, right? So difficulty to understand subject matter which were taught by the lecturers because of the different mode altogether. So they can't be involved in hands-on teaching and learning anymore because everything has to be done from distance. Okay, next. Okay, what were the intervention that we introduced? Right, so like I said just now, we have set up a special task force to manage COVID-19 issues. We design intervention at individual level. At individual level, we have counseling, we have e-counseling, we have email, we have psycho-education. That is at the individual level. Right, at the human resource development, we retrain our teachers, right? So teachers have been retrained not only to deal with teaching, but also to deal with students who need maybe more attention, okay, psychological help, something like that. Okay, so this, we have revised our teaching and learning system. In our university last time, we stopped for about 2 months. And that 2 months were used to retrain our teachers so that our teachers were more ready to deal with students. Like I mentioned just now, their focus was not only on teaching processes, but on how to also help their students in dealing with various psychological demands and issues, right? So, next. So we have also other intervention, like we engage other agencies as well. We work with MKN, we work with RTM because like I mentioned just now, we had extended our psychosocial spiritual education services to the outside community, not only the university community, but the community outside the university as well. So we have published books which contain a short article helping people to deal with coronavirus, helping to deal with psychosocial issues, psychological issues, spiritual issues that they face during this pandemic time. If you notice, there is also a mental health slot in Selamat Pagi Malaysia. Okay, that is another commitment that we have, you know, observed or we have participated with Ministry of Communication to create this mental health literacy among Malaysian, right? So that is good because we have gotten good responses from the Malaysian community. We expect Malaysian community are now more literate when it comes to mental health. So we want them to have a proper or accurate knowledge or understanding on what mental health is all about. We do not want them to have a wrong understanding of what mental health. Maybe last time when we talk about mental health, people would understand it as what crazy people, orang gila and whatnot. But now we are giving them the true meaning on the concept of mental health, and I think you're all clear of what mental health is. Mental health doesn't refer to only a sick mind or crazy mind, but it has many things to do with our emotion, our social relation, and also our thinking pattern, right? And these are all interrelated, and they are related also with our health, our physical health, or our biological health in that sense, right? Okay, next. Okay, so this is a psychological support team. As I mentioned just now, our approach is psychological, social, spiritual. Okay, so when we educate people, we prepare them to have what you call that proper responses to any activating event. So we have heard of cases like demands from sibling or demands from family, demands from lecturer, demands from society, okay, demands from own self. Okay, how to manage these demands so that we can cope with all those demands, right? So we prepare people to have good coping skills, okay, through many approaches, right? So psychoeducation is one, another one is counseling. And a much severe case require us to refer. We also refer to clinical psychologists. We also refer some people who come to us to psychiatry. So some of them are being referred to hospital, okay, because of the severity of their mental health condition. Okay, next. All right. So we believe that the demands in relation to teaching and learning, okay, is also predicted by or caused by lecturers who are teaching. All right. So, like I mentioned just now, we retrain our teachers as well on how to reshape or redesign their teaching approaches. Right. So the way they conducted in face-to-face teaching are now changed to online teaching. So when we do online teaching, our approaches have changed as well. So these require training. So we have conducted many training, online teaching, online assessment, so that our teachers can relate well with the technology, and they can help their students to follow their learning more effectively. Next. Right, so these are some of the training that I mentioned just now. Okay, so work design has been changed. Okay, teaching and learning have been changed as well. Not to only focus on transfer of knowledge, not only to focus on TNL, but also on how to provide psychological aid or psychological support to students. Okay, next. Okay, next slides. Okay, managing students' well-being. Okay, what do we do after long period of PKP, right? So we have outreach students as well. We have outreach students. We conducted a program like this, conversation with students. Like in my faculty, we have 11 departments. So each department conducted math gathering with their students. So lecturers, head department call their students to meet online, listening to their students. We wanted to hear from our students, what are their issues? How can we help them dealing with the issues? Right. So this is outreaching program that we had. The purpose is not to to deal with academic matters, but to help with psychological issues that they face when it comes to teaching and learning and any other related matter. We also attend to their financial issues. Right, so we work with outside organization, with donors, with philanthropists to help our people, our students who have financial difficulties. Because when one has financial difficulties, one might have, some bad level of mental health condition as well. Okay, next. Okay, with regard to our employees, because we believe that our employees must be made ready as well to deal with students, to deal with new normal. Otherwise, there might be the causes of stress among students. So we do not want our employees, our lecturers, our staff to be the causes of stress among our students, so that we also attend to them. So what do? We revise their job description. Last time, they have to come to work from 8 to 5, for example. Now we revise, right? So what we matter more are work deliverables, right? So they have to deliver work, no matter how they process it, right? So they can have their best time dealing with work, so long as they can deliver their work, right? So we also make sure that they have a lower level of stress, or they don't have stress when dealing with their work, so that they can become a good provider or good mentor or good teacher to students that we have. Okay, next. Okay, we have also changed our assessment system. Our assessment system was revised to suit the context, to suit the distance mode, to suit the online teaching and learning. Everything was changed, right? So this to a good extent reduce demands, and in effect reduce the presence of stressor as well. So when we reduce the occurrence of stressor, we believe that we have minimized the occurrence of stress or the experience of stress among our students as well. Next. Yep. So this is listening to subject matter experts. Okay, we also engage subject matter experts from outside. We have engaged clinical psychologists. Okay, we have the benefit of our students who are clinical psychologists throughout the world. So we call them, we get their advice, we learn from their experience, so that we can help our students managing their stress better, using the experience of people who experience stress in other parts of the world. Okay, next. So in conclusion, the pandemic has brought with it enormous types and enormous level of learning opportunities. Actually, we have learned a lot from this pandemic. There have been new practices, there have been new work processes, there have been newly invented services that we created as well, because we want to make sure that people can deal with this pandemic in proper, in judicious, in productive manner. Okay, we do not want to just wait until the pandemic is over. We can't do that. Okay, we have to develop resilience, we have to develop perseverance. We have been helping students to deal with themselves. We have been helping lecturers to deal with their students. We have been helping individuals to deal with contexts, right? So throughout this pandemic time, in addition to dealing with job duties, responsibilities, I think we have also spent much time in dealing with the context. How do we best deal with the context so that the context can be supportive of our health, our psychological health, and also our social connection in that sense. So various measures that we have put in place can be documented, can be shared with other people, so that whenever we have pandemic in future, we can have some good reference to refer to and know what to do in dealing with mental health of our community in that sense. So with that, I thank you very much. Dr. Ng, over back to you.
Thank you, Prof. Shukran. That was quite an elaborate description of how the pandemic can actually affect our organization as well as our students. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Professor Shukran has outlined some pertinent issues with regards to the mental health conditions of our students in terms of one, health, psychological, physical, and social issues. And he has also given us some practical ideas to ponder on how to assist students with psychosocial issues. Prof. Shukran, thank you for sharing with the audience the outreach programs by University Malaya. We could see that there are some similar approach at the IPG, especially in the assessment part, where we have actually swapped it into OBT. Yeah, OBT is the one that is the main change. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you have many questions to ask Prof. Shukran. So please put them in the comments section, and I'll bring them up during the Q&A in a short while. Okay, so we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. You're with me in IPG Campus Tuanku Bainon webinar live on Bainon Facebook and YouTube channel. Our next panel is Dr. Nazri. Welcome back, Dr. Nazri. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
I share the slide, sir. Can I share the slide? Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and salam sejahtera to Tuan Sada Abbas, Director of the Institute of Teachers Education, Tengku Bainon Campus, distinguished panel, Prof. Dr. Shukran, and fellow audience. Thank you for inviting me for this to discuss the topic mental health of the student in higher learning institution during COVID pandemic. What I want to bring today is about student skills. Today, just now, Prof. Shukran just shared a few issues about mental health of the students. Now, I would like to share a voice of our students about this topic regarding tales. Okay, so far we just hear what the researchers say about it, but now I want to bring what is the really voice out during this pandemic COVID-19. Please allow me to recap our journey for the past 2 years under the pandemic of COVID-19. The COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic is the biggest health crisis for generation. It is impacting our life of our people across the globe. Malaysia has undergone twice the lockdown in a heavily long period of time. The lockdown is divided into 3 stages to help curb this pandemic. MCO phase 1, MCO phase 2. Also currently we are undergoing MCO 3.0 with the National Recovery Plan phases. This pandemic slowly poisoning not just our system, our life system, but also affecting our mental health. The uncertainty, the fear of becoming ill, the loss of normal routine, and also the disruption of education accumulated anxiety in the people's minds. Nowadays, children or young adults struggle to cope with the new normal. While acute effort has been done to ensure the student mental health is protected, some might ponder on the effectivities of it. Is it effective or not, whatever we do? So today I try to bring our audience to hear about what students say or their voice. According to the survey done by Young Mind organization on 2020 and 2021, show a depressingly decline of positivity in students within the higher learning institution. The first MCO have only 2.8 of the students with several anxiety level, and 89% of the students are positive that the pandemic can be curbed. However, the positivity changed with the rise of COVID-19 cases and variants, a rise leading us into MCO 2.0. Now majority started being pessimistic. Dear audience, when we start look back the numbers, okay, a rise of several anxiety level recorded in the second survey on 2021. This is shown that those who are previously able to cope with the first lockdown or MCO now battling with the anxiety formed by second MCO. COVID distress can be either in form of the increasing level of anxiety and uncertainty, overwhelming loneliness, sadness, and frustration. It also been seen through the sudden change of appetite and sleeping patterns, maladaptive coping routines such as substance use, not to mention having information burnout, exhaustions, and exacerbation of existing mental health concern. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we heard about this, so we think we must do something about this issue. So, this is the five tales that distress signal are leading from various things by using telltale story from isolation and loneliness. Just now, Prof. Shukran talked about financial constraints, academic pressure, inability to do normal routine, and excessive access to negative social media. Okay, we will talk one by one. This is what students highlight when we talk about mental health in higher institutions, higher learning institutions. Within each tale stated their mental health are mentally affected. Okay, students from the various said that they are affected by lockdown and isolations. The students who are living alone or away from family and friends are more affected by this compared to the students who are living with their friends and family. With the MCO, the Malaysian population was confined to a long period of social isolation. So for the social isolation, this is unpredicted rules had significantly altered the lifestyle and social relationship between the peoples. It had presumably developed deep level of anxiety along the fears of contracting the infections. Long-term isolation will affect certain aspect of mental health and would lead of pessimism. Okay, so we will talk about the lack of social interaction. Okay, the lack of social interaction and physical preference, the lack of social interaction and physical presence will worsen the student anxiety and fear. Also, with the continuous lockdown nowadays, our nation are facing social recession. What is social recession? It's the continuous patterns of social distancing. Beyond the immediate pandemic, this is creating a lack of emotional support and broader society effects, which include increased anxiety level. This will amplify the existing negative feeling and heighten the anxiety level of students, which lead to risk of mental health issue if left untreated. So this is very important when we are isolated or social interaction, having a lack of social interaction, especially among our students. So we must do something. Okay, next we will go to next tales. Okay, the second tales goes by the financial constraint. Just now, Prof. Shukran just touched on this. Surely with the continuous lockdown, some people will face a financial problem. Some family would lose their breadwinner salary and some students would lose their support to pay the course fee. Also, with the ongoing distance learning, students face more constraint with their finance as internet service is not cheap. Most affordable internet service does not have sufficient data to access the online learning site. Online learning site, especially site for online meeting like Zoom, StreamYard like this, and Google Meet require a high data usage. Although the Malaysian government has given 1 gigabyte internet data, it is still insufficient. Hence, students will face higher stress and anxiety peak when they are thinking about their financial constraint. The loss of family income, the loss of opportunity to work, and self-finance their education, and inability to afford internet data give them stress, or what we call it COVID distress. Next, we will talk about the third tales. Okay, this is very important. Okay, the third tales is started with the academic pressure as a violence for me. Okay, we have heard cases of the students unable to cope with the overwhelming amount of assignment with inflexible and near deadline. This poses a risk to the student mental health if the assessment load is not reexamined. With online learning era, I think all face-to-face assessment should not be applied. A student face different variable now. If the old assessment or method will continue, student will highly face burnout and severe exhaustion due to the lecturers and instructor high expectation. Then sometime as a lecturer, we forgot that we overwhelming amount of workload to our students. So with this, we should think and looking back whatever task we give to our student, especially during this pandemic COVID-19. Second, about the unclear instruction and guideline. Okay, especially for guideline for non-synchronous assessment lead to uncertain and anxiety towards student, especially to those who are graduating or first year student. These two group are very have a high risk for mental health. One side is anxious over how would they continue when they are graduate, and the other side ponder upon the foreign situation within high learning institution because they don't know how the campus life look like, because I think now we are 1 year. That means next semester they will go for the second year for these students who are registered last year in September. So moreover, some students' academic activity were impeded because of their socioeconomic background, resulting in anxiety. Also, because of the closure of universities, some students were forced to change their research project, especially for the final year. All this has affected them emotionally and academically. Okay, the problem, what I just share here, more appearance in rural area where the students face a lot of difficulties to join online session. This is what Prof. Sukran shared just now, as a limited access to suitable infrastructure and internet connectivity, Many students at all levels of learning institutions face the same problem. It can be said although online learning offers benefit in autonomous learning and develop a new skill, but can be challenging to underprivileged students who have access to online learning is restricted. This will lead our student missing out the lecture and knowledge. Okay, this is about the academic pressure. They talk about the academic pressure, what they have nowadays. Okay, now we go to the fourth tales. Okay, the fourth tale is about inability to do their normal routine. It's not about our student. I think it's include us. When we talk about the normal routine, I think most of us started we would say that we lost our normal routine. Okay, it is also heightening our anxiety and disrupt our mental stability. Okay, for the student, if they can't make them unable to cope with this stressing lockdown, and sometimes will lead maladaptive coping, which is a bad thing. Okay, this disruption heavily affect to those with a pre-COVID existing mental health issue. It increased probability of depressive state reflex and possible self-harming. However, this disruption does not affect only the student with the pre-existing mental health issue, but nowadays is also affecting those who cannot cope with these apparent MCO, RMCO, and EMCO rules. Here we can see that our student well-being and mental status incapacitates with the inability to do their routine nowadays. So this is a big challenge for us to what we call it to have a new life in a new norm. Okay. Next, we will talk about the last deal is a new factor. What we found is widely known. Our youngsters consistently on social media, and information shared on social media could have played a pivotal role in increasing the anxiety level of the student. Although we understand that social media give easy access to information, which can be essential during this lockdown, but the always on fixed on social media can be exhausting and may take a toll on student mental health. The flow of risk-evaluating messages on social media that portray a very negative manner could trigger anxiety. 24/7 media coverage may make it seem like COVID-19 is omnipresent as well. So it will be anxiety for our students. Will be when it will be end this pandemic, COVID-19, this pandemics. This is why excessive access to negative news on social media is the one of the presently affecting factor that impact the student mental health. Most of overwhelmed with this information that they can access daily on the social media. Based on the survey, many young people said that the first lockdown they feel like, oh, is it one off? That there was a sense of solidarity, but the repeated lockdown nowadays has taken a greater toll on them and means that they could see less hope for the future. Some express a lack of faith in the government response. This creates a black hole of hope that's slowly absorbing the positive of students. 24% stated that the negative news on social media overwhelmed them, but they are not able to scroll away or ignore it. They still read and read. So this is what we call it as dom surfing or dom scrolling. Destitution keys is a new emerging term. Okay, what is the dom scrolling or dom surfing? It's a tendency to continue to surf or scroll throughout the bad news, even though that news is sadness, disheartenance, or depressing, but we still scroll it and read. It is a term to define that state of feeling when someone can't stop scrolling down the social media or read a news that they know. It will make them sad, anxious, angry, and some feeling serba salah or whatever. So this is what we call it a new syndrome on social media among our students nowadays. Okay, next we go to. Okay, what's next? With this implication or an implication of this for high learning institution, especially for high learning curriculum designer and educator, is the need to find and adapt appropriate approach, focusing on integrative and collaborative skill required for online distant learnings that cater the needs of these undergraduate so that they can help them learn with less mental stress. So this is what I want to share about. Okay. With the university intervention, just now Prof. Shukran talked about how to manage it. So organization manage it with a certain intervention program. What here I just want to talk about what university can do or higher learning institution should do. Okay. That can be improvement on the first one is about the improvement on the new curriculum that can fit on the online learning situation, recreating a suitable assessment method for online learning. Most importantly, all inclusive teaching and learning strategy during pandemic should be deliberated immediately, as this study shows that the emergency remote teaching has contributed to significant anxiety among our students nowadays. Although instructor is competent or our lecturer is competent enough, they should be given training to help accommodate and prepare them for uncertain future that might be the ongoing online distant learning for a certain years, okay, maybe one semester or ahead. So this is important for us to look back for first about our curriculum, second about the assessment method and training for everybody in our organizations. And as still is end, okay, with some culture and religious in Malaysia, mental health is still seen as an incurable disease and pathologized. So we should prepare our better solution, not to ignore our student, but to encourage and help them cope with the ever-changing problem during the pandemic, especially COVID-19. Okay, I think that's will be all for my discussion. I hand over to Mr. Moderator. Thank you. Mr. Ng, your mic. Mr. Ng, your mic.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, so there you have it. Dr. Nazri has outlined 4 main key factors contributing to students' mental health issues. Yeah, the first being isolation or loneliness. The second one is the financial problems. It could be from the parents or personal. Third one is through academic pressure, assignment workload, examinations, and online learning directions. Yeah, and finally, it could also be the problems of the internet connectivity as well as facility. Thank you, Dr. Nazri. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the final part of the webinar, which is the question and answer session. But before that, I would like to remind our viewers that the QR code and the attendance links are already posted at the comments section. Yeah, the QR code is up there, and the comments section, you will see the attendance link. Now, having said that, let's move on to the Q&A. Now, questions have been pouring in, and I'm sure our audience are waiting impatiently to have their questions answered. Yeah. So here they are in the order that I have prepared. So for the first and the second question, I would like to ask Dr. Nazri, since Dr. Nazri is still here. All right, I would like to pose the question to you first. Maybe we answer it one at a time. Okay, Dr. Nazri? Is it okay with you? Okay, Dr. Nazri?
Okay,
All right.
okay, Mr. All right.
Okay, so the first question, I would like to go direct to the point here, which is at the beginning of the montage earlier, you will see you have seen that there have been news reports that these young people, students, they are taking their own lives. Yeah, so we believe that a lot of the students out there, they're feeling very down, very depressed, and a bit suicidal. All right. So suicide is when someone ends their own life. How can we help or give support to someone who is suicidal? Or to rephrase it, put myself in its place, how can I help someone who's feeling suicidal? What are the signs to look out for? And what do we do about it? To you, Dr. Nazri.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ng. I think this one's suitable for Prof. Sukran. Okay, because I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I try to answer it maybe after
Yeah, Prof.
this. Prof.
Shukran can help to answer
Okay,
afterwards.
when I have to
Prof.
answer after this. Okay, never mind. I just with this new normal. Okay, I think the most important thing is about communications. First, it's about communication because when we're dealing with our students nowadays, uh, we lack of communication when we do online class. Okay, when we do online class, we just enter the class. Okay, online class, we just enter Google Meet or Google Classroom without say hello to our students or just ask them whether they are, how about their feelings, okay, their emotion. So this is the first. Sometimes we don't know there's the most important thing when we know that how to help these people is always be there. Try to keep them feel safe. Okay, then the most important thing as an educator or teachers in the classroom or whatever, always look for warning signal. Okay, always look for warning signal. Of course, we have a friends, family. Uh, they should offer a support to help them or what we call it. This is important. Give them your ears. Listen to them. Okay, sometime in this new normal, okay, we always forgot about to listen to others. What is theirs? We just deliver what we want to as an educator or teachers or lecturers. Sometimes we just deliver, okay, this is my topic. I just teach this one, this one, this one. Okay, next week we will come for this. Okay, then we forgot to look around our student because sometimes they just switch off their camera, so we don't know whether they listen to us or not. So sometimes we forgot about that.
Yes.
Then the sign, the most important thing is when we talk about the sign or warning signals among the students. First about the changes in personality. That's why when we have lecture, online lecture, sometimes please, okay, maybe on beginning or before ending, we ask our student to switch on their camera or sometimes be the last person who are out from your Google Meets, because sometimes you don't know, you just, okay, finish my class, I just shut down, then okay, bye-bye. So we don't have that one, because sometimes might be our student change in their personality, might be they have a life crisis or hopeless or what we should do. So for this person, please never leave them alone. Okay, then try to seeking help. Okay, among us, try to do find out or call somebody or family member to help or to keep them feel safe and be there with them. Okay, so that's my answer. Maybe Prof can add in. Okay, add more on that. Okay, that's
Very
all,
good,
Mr.
Dr. Nazri.
Okay.
Prof. Shukran, you have anything to add
Yes.
on to what Dr. Nazri has said?
Yep. Maybe on how to know whether we have people who are experiencing this suicidal ideation in our community. So normally we will only know about their presence when they report or when others report, right? But in many cases we already know that suicide happened, right? So
Yes.
how do we outreach to this group of people, right? So in our university we have adopted this concept of outreaching. We have one note, right, that we spread on our social media. So for example, we say this: if you are in need of any psychological help, or if you are thinking of committing suicide whatsoever, just send to us one emoji and then we'll get back to you, right? So we do that. I mean, just to emulate this white flag concept, right? So when you are in economic pressure, you can raise your white flag.
White
So
flag. Yes.
white flag. So in our case of suicidal ideation, so or any psychological issues that they face, they can send an emoji to our social media, and then we'll get back to them, right? So that is a proactive measure that we have taken. And yes, we have people who actually contacted us. Yes.
Very, very good advice,
Okay.
Prof.
That
And also
what Prof. Shukran said
Nazri.
just now, Mr. Ng, is about
Yes.
the digital psychological support. This is one of the new, what we call it, it's a new element when we do or we
Yes.
want to support artists about
20th
this.
century learning.
Yes.
Yes. What Prof said earlier reminds me of the Marvel movies, that in the city of Gotham, when they got problems, they will put up that light and call Batman, remember? Something like that, yeah? So for our students, we can actually ask them to send us an emoji or something like that. There's a sign or a signal for us to call them back, maybe to get to know them. And from Dr. Nazri, just now you mentioned something very important, which I think is very important, that there must be connection, communication between the educator or the teacher with the students, not just to impart the content of whatever that we're going to teach, but to actually make sure that we connect to each and every one of them. And by suggesting that we are the last one to
leave
check out
the classroom.
I think that is also another very brilliant idea, because who knows, maybe the person who is in trouble will wait until everybody has left the room before they even want to talk to you.
True.
Yes, true. Agree with you, Mr. Ng.
Very good. Okay.
Just to share my experience, Dr. Ng, just to
Yes.
share my experience. My wife is a teacher, so sometimes I've overheard, her student talking to her after the end of the class. Issue like this came from them.
Yes.
Makan
That
lagi, tak ada duit nak beli makan. I mean, these are the things that teachers, came to help as well.
True. Yep. Even in fact, right now we are in the midst of our practicum, and then we are in the classroom together with our teachers, and we saw their students. Some of them, they didn't turn on their video, no audio, and then when we ask, I say why, we can see that they say, my video is not working, things like that. A lot of things are going on in terms of facilities and also connectivity. So, you brought up some very practical and very good idea of how we can try to help or to reach out, like what Prof. Shukran said. We reach out. Your outreach program is like for us to reach out and connect with our students. Okay, great.
I saw a comment there. I mean, how to deal with people who are reserved. Like people who are reserved, they won't outreach. I mean, they won't contact. They won't come to us, right? So we can't hear them. So I think it's important upon us teachers to hear with our eyes. We have to listen with our eyes. Right, normally we listen with our ears, right? So I think we have to also listen with our eyes now, because
probably
there are many information which we can detect if we look at them properly.
True. Yes.
Okay, the most important thing is Prof. Shukran said just now. just now, Mr. Ng,
Yes.
it's about separate awareness. Okay, we must spread awareness among these. Especially we have digital support for or platform for this. So as teachers or whatever, then we try to spread. Oh, this is you should do what, because we know that our students sometimes they ashamed to expose
Yes.
themselves. Oh, I'm having a
True.
problem.
Very
I
true.
have this because this is Malaysian, what we call in Malaysian culture. Prof.
Okay.
Shukran.
Correct.
Sometimes
Yes.
we are very ashamed to say, "Oh, I'm having a problem." Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
might be the issue like raise up, white flight, everything. This is the good ideas, especially. Okay, that's all.
Correct, correct. The white flag thing and also the emoji. Yeah, yeah. That's a brilliant idea, actually. Yeah, I didn't think about that actually, but that was a good one. Okay, I have another question. Okay, so it's up to you. Anyone can answer. So it's almost the same as the first question. Yeah, it's about as educators. Yeah, the questions as educators, in what ways can we help to alleviate or to ease the mental health of our students? Probably, what the question would want is, how can we as educators, when we in the course of our duty, we try to help them not to be too stressful. So what are the things that we can say or do, while we are giving our work, as we have to give work to them, assignments, coursework, stuff like that. Yeah, but how can we put it in, like sandwich it, to make them feel not so stressed? Yeah, Dr. Nazri, how about you?
I thought Prof. Chukran can start first. Okay, never mind. When we talk about the way how we can help, especially for those students, I think the most important thing is be there. Whether online, okay, whether you are in online or physicals. The most important thing is as educators, sometimes when we do online, we forgot about student voice. That's why just now I just present about the tale of the students. I thought that this is important. Sometimes we forgot to hear about them. Sometimes we forgot to give student choice. Okay, we always say, okay, this is your task, you must do this, then submit for the deadline, this one.
Yes.
So always check in our student feeling. Okay, check our student feelings. For me, this is important. So, okay, this is very important to check our student feelings. What Prof. Shukran said just now, whether they makan tak makan, how they feel today.
Yes.
Okay, when you see their because we don't know, some of our students struggle with emotion and behavior. Sometimes they have to work. Okay, they have to jaga their adik. Okay, take care about their adik, and they say at the same time they must study. They have a lecture class or whatever.
Yes.
So these will engage them to what we call it mental stress. Then please, okay, the next is try to put ourselves in the frame of student mind. This is sometimes we as an educator don't do that. We say, oh, I'm teachers, I'm lecturers, so you student just follow. But in new 21st century, this new learning, we have that. Sometimes we must put ourselves in our student frame mind, frame of student minds. Okay, what they talks about this situation. Then try to reduce classroom stress. Okay, we have a lecture 3 hours. I think if you can, okay, modify it, what we call it, check back your curriculums and make it maybe for the 30 minutes, then you give the facts, then after that they will do their task, then if they have a problem, come back to you. So find the good in student is the very important. Okay, sometimes please don't scold them for the little things. Okay, please find the good and always praise them, especially say wow, say or use the magic word. I always say a magic word like wow, oh, you are very good, congrats. Then sometimes say wah, cantik hari ni. Otherwise you don't know something, but say, oh, never mind, I just want to see your face. Wow, you are very
Yeah.
good today or feel something. So this is
Totally agree
what we
with
call
you.
the work. Yes,
Yeah.
because it's a simple. You say, we look like very simple, but it gives impact to our students because one word can make a change in our student life. This is I believe because your words, just a very simple words, sometimes, but our teachers nowadays sometimes they just send a token, send a gift to the student because this is a appreciation. Then the student really love it, whether it's just a little pencil or whatever. So this is what how we can help to prevent from the mental health issues among our
Yes.
students. Okay, that's from me.
Thank you, Dr. Nazri. Wonderful. Prof. Shukran, come.
Yeah.
Can you add a little bit
So
more?
Dr. Nazri has
Anything?
mentioned a lot. I think he has said, I think some common measures that we do in
Yeah.
UIA, maybe in UM, and also in Tengku Bainun IPG. But
Mm.
bottom line is what we matter now is their development, Dr. Ng.
Mm.
Their
Yes.
development, I mean, for their current survival and also their future survival. We have to remember that they are going to continue, I mean, our work. I mean, we are going to retire, right? So we have to what we were reminded of was we have to make sure that they learn the same way their seniors learn. Okay,
Mm.
we have to make sure that their takeaway are the same with the takeaway of previous graduates as well, right? So
Yes.
we have been asked, we have been, you know,
Mission.
what we call that, requested to make sure that students attain their proper course learning outcome, program learning
Yes.
outcome
Correct.
in
The
a new
CLO.
norms, right? So it takes to us that this new normal come in a package. Lecturers have to be ready, students have to be ready as well. So every time we have this dean's council, our leader, our university leader, okay, start with a reminder that lecturers have to make sure that they attend to the mental health as well. They have to attend to the mental health of subordinates as well as their lecturers. So this pandemic has actually witnessed the birth of mental health policy in our university. So
Mm.
our university has endorsed one policy, mental health policy for employees and mental health policy for students. So this
Mm.
shows our serious attention that we give to mental health of our community, right?
Yeah.
So like what Dr. Nazri mentioned just now, learning outcome must be attained, but in a new approach. Last time we spent 3 hours per week, but now we have to spend less than 3 hours during asynchronous class as well as synchronous class. So let's
Mm.
say last time we had 2 meetings, 1.5 hour, 1.5 hour. Now we can only have 1 hour synchronous or less than that, right? The others are pre-recorded. The others are on what you call a fleet classroom, right? So lecturers have been retrained on how to use fleet classroom, how to prepare
Mm.
video, how to create material so that they support the attainment of learning outcome, so that the quality of students are not being jeopardized by this
Mm.
pandemic, right? So quality is
Yes.
one, but approaches has to be revised, right? So
Correct.
this is something
I
that
agree
we
totally.
care for. Mental health is something that we give attention, but not at the expenses of quality. All right.
Yes. Okay.
So
Thank you.
yes.
Okay, so I think yeah, I think our audience are enjoying your responses to their questions, and I think you have brought up some very practical and also some workable ways for us to help our students. Yeah, and when you mentioned about the synchronous as well as the asynchronous, a lot of people outside they thought that teachers or educators, they work during that time. So when you have the asynchronous, you're not really doing anything. But
Mhm.
I would say that the opposite is true. It
Mhm.
seems that these days teachers spend more time in front of the laptop trying to get things worked out, and they feel that like it's totally different from when it was face to face, where you go into a classroom, you come out and then you forget about it. These days, the work keeps on coming. It can come through WhatsApp, Telegram, and then work through Google Classroom, or other learning platforms. All right. So I've come to the part where now, besides the students here, I would say a lot of attention. My next question is this, okay, from a fellow educator. A lot of attention has been given to students and the difficulties or challenges that they face during the pandemic. All right. Educators, teachers too have challenges, issues during the pandemic. So my question, not my question, the audience question is, if educators themselves feel stressed or have mental issues during the pandemic, who do we turn to? Or what can we do to help ourselves? Okay, Prof. Shukran, maybe you would like to respond to that first.
All right. So
Let Dr. Nazir respond.
Yes, I would like to refer to a statement that I made just now that we had from this psychosocial support team for COVID-19. So that psychosocial support team is not only meant for students. We cater to lecturers, we cater to staff as well. And yeah, we receive what we call that complaint. We attended to lecturers as well. We attended to them. Yeah, there were issues faced by our lecturers. I mean, familial, related, work related, many issues. Financial related as well. Right. So one thing that we adopted throughout this pandemic is what we call EFIA, EFIA, empowerment, flexibility, right? And we also encourage innovation, okay? But accountability is a must. So we empower them, okay, to create new work processes so long as they deliver what is expected of them, right? So that is empowerment. Okay, another one is flexibility. They are flexible. We are flexible with work hours, right? So last time you work from 8 to 5, now you can work 24/7. Okay, and then you are accountable of your health as well, right? So we also are in connection with health center. Health center sometimes alert us that the psychiatric cases increase. People see psychiatrists. There are more people seeing psychiatrists now because of the pressure, work pressure, maybe, or pressure, something like that. There were many innovation, being created by lecturers and students alike, right? And the other one is accountability. So whatever you do, you have to be accountable to your stakeholders, to your organization, and so on and so forth. So at our level, the leaders level, we adopt facilitation. We facilitate them. So we are always in communication with them. At our level, we go to all departments. We do like dialogue with lecturers, listening from them. What issues do they face, and how can we go about helping them? And then support and also scaffold. Supporting and also scaffolding them, right? So where do they turn to? They can turn to anyone that they feel comfortable, right? Some people they turn to their friend, to their colleague, and then colleague will come to the superior, right? So we adopt this what we call employee assistance program mechanism, and we are going to make this formal. Employee assistance program is a mechanism used in many countries. Not only during pandemic or during crisis. At any time when you have issues, psychological issues, clinical issues, or health issues, you can resort to EAP provider, right? So now we are selling this idea that every workplace should have EAP service, employee assistance program service, and there are now many EAP provider in town. I think Penang has, KL has a lot of EAP provider, and we don't really know about their presence because they have to be kept what we call that invisible, because people do not want to know that they have visited EAP consultants.
Yes, confidentiality.
Yep. So they have. I think they can they can resort to services if the services are made available, right? So I think as organization we have to make this service available so that they know where to refer to whenever they experience any difficulty, stress, or whatsoever.
Yes. For their professional as well as their personal sort of issues, related issues as well as anything. So the EAP, very good.
Work related, family related, personal related issues.
True. Okay, Dr. Nazri, you want to add
I hope I
anything?
have answered it.
Okay, interesting what Prof. Shukran said just now. But from the what the question is, I'm as a teachers and lecturers, look back for the teachers. Okay, for this, why they stress, they have a lot of workload, everything, because they're not competent. They're not competent with the technologies nowadays. Okay, the problem is because before this, okay, during our training, uh, we don't have training about how to teach online, how to teach
Very
online
true.
learning. We don't have any specific about
Yes.
online learning pedagogy. Okay,
Yes,
we
correct.
don't have specific on that. We only train as teachers how to control a physical classroom. Okay, we have a subject pengurusan bilik darjah. We don't have how to handle online learning class. So this is where every teachers nowadays they don't know. So it's not fair to say, oh, they are not competent for that, because they on that time this not happen where everything online. So the most important thing what I just said just now is about the training. Okay, give a training especially for the teachers, okay, for the teachers about the new pedagogy like heutagogy, cybergogy, or pedagogy, because this is a new term for the online learning. When they have or they master with this new pedagogy, so I don't think they have a problem. The most of problem because they don't know how to manage synchronized learning, asynchronous learning, and offline. Then I'm so sorry to say, sometimes our parents also they don't understand. Okay, when we dealing with the online class, it's not say that okay started from 7:30 until 1 p.m. It should be synchronized module or offline learning, because this is how we conduct. But the problem is when we talk about why or our teachers nowadays they are stressed, most of them is they are not too competent with the technology. So let's say it's a very simple. When you ask me to record my presentation, it might be take for a whole day to finish just a 10 minutes record. Okay, our PowerPoint presentation, whatever. But for the new generation, especially nowadays, new teachers, maybe from Gen Z or Gen Alpha, they can make it
Yeah.
within 1 minute or 2 minutes. It's a very simple to present it. Okay, but
Yes.
for me, I would took maybe more than one day, because everything we not familiar on it. So this is
Dr.
what
Nazri,
happened. Yes,
true.
yes,
I can really relate to what you are saying. I think we belong to the Gen X generation. Gen X or the baby boomer time, and we were not like exposed to all this. And during our training, we were not really exposed to all these things. So the few phrases that you brought up earlier, by the different time of pedagogy, cybergogy, and also pedagogy, those are really, I think, very apt. And I hope, yeah, you ladies and gentlemen out there, you are listening, and you're actually taking this in. And I hope that you can really look into what our panel members have been suggesting. Awesome things. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Nazri, anything else? Fantastic. Okay. I have uh, my last question for Prof. Shukran. Yeah, there's one more. Now, in your talk earlier, you were saying under managing employees' well-being. You mentioned, and I quote, "It is essential to nurture good level of mental health and well-being among them." Yeah. The question is, how do we do that in practical terms? Like, we know that we have to nurture good level of mental health. Everybody knows that you have to eat well, you have to rest well, but um, how do we actually turn that into action? What are the things that we can do?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, perhaps I can bring to you the intervention, the 4 level of interventions that we adopt. One is an individual level intervention that I mentioned just now. So this require education. So our psycho education approach cater to this need, right? So the way we write short article in point form, right? To make people understand how to take care of themselves, self-care, how to do self-care during this COVID-19. Self-care on themselves, self-care of the family members, their students. So this is at family, at individual level. We know that some people love to read, so we gave them about 3,000 long article. It cannot go more than that. 1 page, 2 page, right? So we have a special website for that. Some people do not want to read, so we give them poster, right? So everything has been shortened or abbreviated in poster. Some people do not want to even read poster, so we draw cartoon for them. So we have an artist. You have seen some of the cartoons on my slide just now. So there's a sample of our cartoon. So every day we have article, poster, and cartoon which we spread on our social media, right? So that is to psycho-educate them at the, what we call that, the individual level. Number 2 is at the administrative human resource level. So we train them. We train them on how to take up new approaches of work, right? Training on online pedagogy, hotagogy, whatsoever. And then also on train them to offer psychological first aid, right? Some people respond. I mean, some people attend. I mean, when we have this, it doesn't mean that everybody attend. I mean, some people who are interested, they will attend. Right? Some people, they perceive that they can manage the situation well, so they do not need this kind of intervention. Right? The third one is technology. Now we use a lot of technology in our psychosocial support team. We have IT people. We have also ICT students, because they help us to turn all the information into ICT. I mean, what we call that, products in that sense. And the last one is engagement. We have to engage. We engage people. We do not wait until they come, right? So we have mobilized our leaders, our head of department, to outreach their members. Check on your friend, check on your staff, check on people who are under your care, something like that. So this is
absolutely, absolutely. That is important.
To make sure that everybody is being connected, so that we can know whether they are good or not in this scenario. I hope this is something that I have answered using our experience. Actually, we don't go to theory anymore, because theory may not be relevant in this new normal, new context. Right?
Very true.
So we have amalgamated we have also brought ustazah to help us in what you call that, adjusting this ritual activities, somayang, solat Jum'ah. But some people, they feel very guilty because they cannot go to mosque, right? So we need advices from ustaz on what fatwa or mufti have discussed, on how to deal with pandemic. So much so that we found that our measures, our SOPs have been based on Ibn Sina's SOP when they were dealing with pandemic last time. So people want to listen to knowledge like this, right? So people want to listen to knowledge like this, right? So this is how we nurture, or we help them to deal or to manage their confusion or pressure or stressor during this time.
Oh,
yes,
good
over to you.
Very nice. Dr. Nazri, you want to add in a little bit with that? We have about a minute or two left. So you want to say any last words? Yeah.
Okay, I just want to add on what Prof. Shukran say, because during the practice, the main point nowadays is maintaining a social connection. This is more importantly, we must connect other people, even though virtually. This is important because the first one, we connect each other throughout WhatsApp or whatever, Google Meet, whatever. We must connect others and talk together and gather. Okay, this is first the most important thing. Even though with our students, why don't we just have a chit-chat time or doing something together through a virtual, okay, during this isolation time. The second one I want to add on is about, please don't forget to take a break. Whatever you do, please have a time for your own time. What we call it nowadays, our new generation is called, oh, I have me time. So make sure you have your me time. That means whatever you want to do, this is your
Right.
time. Take a break. Take a break, okay? Then, while take a break, doing something what you want to do it, or you enjoy to do it. Then, lastly, what I always want to take note is about don't be ashamed to seek help. Okay, when you need help, just find somebody, talk, and seek help from them. Okay, whether your friend, your family, or somebody who you trust, then seeking help. Okay, when you feel you are burnout, you have a distress or high level, whatever, please don't ashamed to seek help. Nowadays, we have a lot of channel or platform, especially digital psychology uh, support. So why don't we use that? Like what Prof. Shukran said just now, just give the icon or emoji, whatever, so other
That's
people
fantastic,
will
isn't
know
it?
what.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, yes. So we can tasting what that. Okay, okay, that's all
Yeah.
from me,
Okay.
Mr. An.
Prof. Shukran, 30
Yes.
seconds. Any last words?
Yeah, if you like to benefit from our materials, psychosocial or psychoeducation materials, you can join our Facebook. We call it Impact. You can search for Impact. Right, and another one you can join also our Instagram. We have also Instagram. We also have Telegram, where you can find articles, posters, cartoon, which can help you manage your psychosocial condition or issues. Right, we also have website. You can look
Ah,
for
that's
flagship
fantastic.
mental health flagship, and also you can watch our mental health slot on RTM every day. Okay.
Fantastic. So, Prof. Shukran and also Dr. Nazri, now there are actually more questions on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook channel. So, Prof. Shukran, especially just now, you have mentioned a few places that people, who like to try and get some help. Maybe at our YouTube channel, you may want to help us to put in the link that can actually lead them to that particular website. Would it be possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get in
We'll
touch with
do
you
that.
later. You give us a link,
Yes.
and then after that,
Yes.
our technical
Yes.
people will put the link into
Okay.
our YouTube
All right.
channel, so that our audience who may want to
Mm,
seek more information
mm.
about this, they can go into your channel.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Dr. Nazri, same. If let's say you have any websites or any place that our audience would like to go and have a look, seek some help or anything,
Mm,
please
mm,
be in touch with
mm.
our technical people
Yeah.
so that we can actually
Yes.
put everything together. Fantastic,
Indeed. All
wonderful.
right. And we will also
Okay.
publish all those article with Majlis Keselamatan Negara as well. So they are now printing it,
Uh,
so we can also share those manuscript or book with
yeah.
you. It will come in the form of book. All right.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Very, very
Okay.
nice. Very good. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, I guess that wraps up the webinar for today. On behalf of the JK Jaringan Luar and MOU, Tuanku Bandung Campus, and the director, Encik Muhammad Sanad bin Abbas, I would like to thank both our panelists, Professor Shukran bin Abdul Rahman, and as well as Dr. Muhammad Nazri bin Abdul Rahman. And to all of you out there, viewers and participants of our webinar, thank you so much for joining us today. We've been very happy to share, and I'm sure you have managed to have insights, just like how I felt, when I hear what our panelists have to say. Those are fantastic stuff. All right. So yeah, there are a lot to take away from this session. All right. So that's all for now from me. I would like to pass on this session back to Dr. Annie. Dr. Annie, take it away. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, We are very pleased today for the opportunity to hear the remarkable views and interesting explanations from the respective psychological experts who are also within the members of higher learning institutions. I hope that we can gain some knowledge and will always be more careful in maintaining the mental health of our students. With this, that's all for now. Thank you again to all the viewers who spent their precious time for staying and listening to the broadcast from the beginning to the end. With that, thank you till we meet again.